I'm Gravy.
And I'm Noah with the Paranormal Investigators of Milwaukee.
And this is Paranormal Review.
Today we're talking about Farrar Elementary, which is located in Farrar, Iowa.
Farrar Elementary was built in 1921 and was an elementary school up until 2002. It was purchased by its current owners in 2006.
Surprisingly, there were no claims of paranormal activity during the time that it was operating as a school. However, shortly after the owners moved in and were starting to renovate it for their home, they started having strange experiences. Some of the popular TV shows at the time heard about the activity going on at Farrar Elementary, and they decided to come and see for themselves. And that really made Farrar a lot more interesting to a lot of the paranormal teams who hadn't heard about it previously. So when we see things like that, we like to go and investigate it for ourselves to see if what they experienced is, number one, truthful, and two, if we can replicate or capture the same things that they also had happen.
Plus, when we do a lot of library events, people often ask us, have you been to this location? And by being there, we can actually say, yes, we have that experience. So some of the claims at Farrar Elementary School include a shadow figure seen walking down the principal's steps from the office on the third floor. There's also been the ball seen rolling in the third floor classroom.
Yeah, there's quite a few balls in that one classroom. People seem to bring more and more each time they investigate.
There's also the claim of hearing the sounds of children running throughout the hallways of the school itself. There's a boiler room off the gym in the basement. There's apparently a spirit of a janitor that hangs out in that area.
Yeah, it's supposedly angry. It doesn't like people invading its space.
And the last time we were there were actually two new claims that we didn't know about. One is there was a child seen in classroom 206.
A boy, I believe it was.
And then on the third floor, there's a tall shadow figure that's apparently seen as well.
Yeah, and when they describe the shadow figure, it's not just 7 feet tall, but 8 or 9 feet tall, and it's seen throughout the third floor in some of the classrooms as well as the hallway. So whenever we're doing an investigation, we always want to look at the condition of the building that we're going to be in. If we're paying money to investigate, we want to make sure that we're not going to constantly be dealing with issues, noise contamination, and so forth. When it comes to Farrar Elementary, there are a few things to be noted. Number one, there are bugs in the building, ranging from flies and hornets and wasps all the way down to crickets. There also have been bats noticed in some of the floors of the building, and also some mice have been witnessed as well. The crickets are the things that are the most annoying because when you're trying to do nice quiet EVP sessions, they make a lot of noise.
And you don't know where they're at. They're hiding everywhere.
When it comes to the doors and windows, they're all intact. So no broken windows, no doors that are accessible from the outside. So the security of the investigation is definitely there. And there's also no worry of weather basically coming into the building, and there's no leaks from the roof. Sometimes when there has been a lot of rain, you can have some water in the boiler room area, but not like standing water, just like, some dampness, if you will. Another thing to take into account is how close the building is to other neighboring businesses and buildings. And Farrar Elementary is really set back from the road quite a bit. So we didn't have any issue with, neighbors or any outside activity that was happening at locations affecting our investigation.
And it's in the middle of nowhere, so traffic is pretty much next to none.
Right, the road that goes by Farrar Elementary is not well traveled. Again, Farrar, Iowa is a very small town, so yes, cars do come by from time to time, but it was not really something that we noticed very often during our investigation.
When we investigate certain locations, accommodations are very important to us. We oftentimes look for places that are climate controlled, which this place does have one room that is climate controlled. The rest of the building is not. There are bathrooms off the gym with running water, which is also very important. And most importantly is we can sleep on location when we're done with our investigation without having to travel somewhere.
This is really key because a lot of these locations are not close to home. And so having to drive several hours after our investigation is done early in the morning is very difficult for us to do.
The closest town nearby is Bondurant, Iowa, which is 20 minutes away. And there you could find sleeping arrangements if you'd prefer to sleep at a hotel, or you can find places to eat. And we oftentimes recommend eating before you go to a location just so that way you can investigate longer. Booking Farrar Elementary School is actually quite easy. You check their online calendar for a date that works for you, and then you want to email them to confirm that date is still open. At that point, you will put down a $100 deposit, and then you will pay for the rest of the investigation on the day of with cash only. First time we actually worked with them a couple of years ago, they were actually quick to respond to our emails and questions about the location. But since then, it's been kind of lagging. We've had to contact them through multiple channels, be phone calls, emails, that sort of stuff. If you want to book Farrar Elementary School, we'd highly recommend booking 6 months in advance for a weekend investigation. The big question is, would we go back to Farrar Elementary?
And initially the answer to that question was yes. We actually have been there twice, most recently in the summer of 2020. And the reason why we returned is because Farrar is a large location, which is great for us when we do investigations, and always something that we look for. And it's also relatively inexpensive in comparison to some of the other places that, of a similar size, you'd spend more money.
And it has claims that we like to investigate. So the next big question is, would we go back a third time?
And for me, the answer to that one is no. I really think I've investigated all I can of Farrar Elementary, and it's something that, although is in general a good location, is inexpensive, it is also 5 hours away from where we currently reside, and I would really like to go and see if we can find a new place to investigate for one of our future expeditions. Well, I think that's all we have for the paranormal review of Farrar Elementary. Thanks again for watching. As always, please remember to subscribe to our videos and click the little bell to be notified next time we have a new one up. If there's any questions about this location that we didn't cover, please leave those in the comments, and we'll make sure to follow up with those when we can in the future.
I'm Gravy.
And I'm Noah with the Paranormal Investigators of Milwaukee.
And this has been another Paranormal Review. And also, children are oftentimes heard throughout the school halls. Shut up. Oh, we touched hands.
Gross.
There are also stairs, obviously, going up from the first floor to the second floor, third floor to the second floor, and so forth.
Oh my God.
What am I saying?